Hey, what's going on, everyone? Thank you for tuning in and checking out my latest video. Now, today's video is going to be talking about the upcoming matchup between Gennady Triple G Golovkin versus Canelo Alvarez taking place in Las Vegas. Now, this fight has been sold out for a while. It's a fight that the fans wanted to see. I don't see how this fight doesn't live up to the hype. The styles are great in this matchup. Um, and this is a fight that the fans have wanted for such a long time. I cannot wait to finally talk about this fight, break it down for you guys. And if you guys have never seen my video before, basically what I'm going to do in this talk about this matchup is bring up some of both of the styles that both of these guys possess, break down some of the skills that both have, some advantages, also some keys to this matchup. So no further ado, I hope you guys enjoy my video talking about the Canelo Alvarez versus Triple G fight. So let's get right into it, guys. So let's talk about Canelo Alvarez and what he brings to the table in this encounter. So when I look at Canelo Alvarez as a fighter, this is a guy who has excellent hand speed, vicious uppercuts, also vicious right hand. He has a good combination punching ability. He's a guy who mixes up body head shots, head body shots. He's also a fighter who has a very good defense. He's good at slipping shots. He has good head movement. He has that high guard on the inside as well to protect his head. He's very stable, I would say, defensively fighting on the inside. And Canelo Alvarez, overall, he's a guy who consistently improves as he grows as a fighter, and I have to give a lot of credit to himself and his team on his improvement overall. Now, when I look at some of the advantages that Canelo Alvarez has in this fight, Canelo Alvarez, in my opinion, is a better combination puncher of the two. Canelo Alvarez also has a hand speed advantage, head movement advantage, defensively a better fighter, I believe, than Gennady Golovkin, in my opinion. So those are some big advantages that Canelo Alvarez has in this fight. Also, he has youth on his side as well. So when I look at these advantages, it's going to be a very intriguing matchup with the skill set that Canelo Alvarez brings. Now, when I talk about some keys to this fight for Canelo Alvarez, in my opinion, Canelo Alvarez has to be very active and he has to throw first. He's got to make Triple G back up. He's got to gain Gennady Golovkin's respect. So he needs to land a lot of different combinations, keep Golovkin guessing on what combination he's going to be throwing. And it's imperative that he is first in this fight and throwing punches. And he's got to be incredibly accurate. Now, he has to do all this, so keeping in mind that Canelo Alvarez does tend to fade late at times in a fight, so he has to know his own stamina tank, in my opinion. That's what I'm getting at when I'm basically bringing up that point. So Canelo's got to be wary of that. Also, I believe a huge factor in this fight is Canelo needs to stay off the ropes. He is easily backed into corners or on the ropes. He becomes a stationary target. And although he has good defense, it's not a spot that Canelo Alvarez wants to be against a vicious, bigger man in Triple G, something that he needs to avoid in this encounter. I also believe a key for Canelo Alvarez in this fight is at times when you watch Triple G fight, he walks in and sometimes he leans forward. Now, this is a spot where Canelo Alvarez can land his vicious uppercuts and, go upstairs, go to the body, mix up and use those combinations that he has. And Triple G, as you've seen him in a lot of different fights, there's always moments in the fight where he gets caught with like a 6 to 8 punch combination, walking in, kind of leaning in. That's something that Canelo Alvarez needs to look for, and he needs to attack that right away and make a statement against Gennady Golovkin. Now, let's talk about Triple G and the skills that he brings to the table in this fight. So when I look at Triple G and the skills that he brings to the table in this matchup, you got a guy with an excellent jab, one of the best jabs in the sport of boxing. He has good balance, power in both hands. He's got an excellent chin. I've seen him take punches from world-class punchers such as David Lemieux, Danny Jacobs, Curtis Stevens, for example. Golovkin also has a vicious left hook to the body when he throws that punch. He's a guy with incredible ring generalship, knows how to cut off the ring, a wealth of amateur experience. He can also counterpunch as well, Golovkin can. A lot of people don't seem to see that, but he definitely is a counterpuncher, like Canelo Alvarez is, very good counterpuncher. However, Golovkin has a lot of little skills just because he walks forward. He's very smart in how he does so. He's not just a one-dimensional, straightforward type fighter that a lot of people make him out to be, in my opinion. So some advantages that Gennady Golovkin has in this fight, in my opinion. He has a better jab than Canelo Alvarez. Also, he's a better ring generalship than Canelo Alvarez has. Golovkin, in my opinion, has the size advantage, strength advantage, and power advantage in this fight. And also, I believe with Golovkin's style, he uses a lot less energy than Canelo Alvarez will have to use in this fight. And I like the fact that in his last fight, Golovkin went up against a real middleweight who was bigger than him and a guy who moved around the ring, had a very interesting style of switching stances, very tricky fight. So this gets him ready for a fighter of a caliber of Canelo Alvarez, whereas Canelo Alvarez, when you look at him, he has not really fought a real 160-pound fighter like a guy like Daniel Jacobs or a David Lemieux, for example. And I think that's going to be something very key to look for in this fight, and something that I think Oscar is going to regret not doing, not have done really, by putting Canelo Alvarez in there with the type of fighter of the caliber I just mentioned at that weight class to get him accustomed to facing power punchers like that. So, some keys for Golovkin, guys, in this fight. I believe Gennady Golovkin needs to be consistent to the body. Sometimes he's been headhunting in recent performances. It's kind of limited his skills, in my opinion. He needs to be consistent to the body throughout this fight. Heavy on the jab. So this is a key point, because if you watch the Canelo Alvarez versus Cotto fight, early on in that fight, Canelo Alvarez was slipping Cotto's jab and landing some counters. Now, however, when you skip to round 7, Cotto was landing that jab more effectively as the fight went on, and he was scoring a lot of combinations off that jab. So that's why it's very key, especially with a guy who has a very crisp, hard jab, accurate jab like Gennady Golovkin. It's going to be key for him to set up combinations. That way, also, it's going to help him defensively as well. And that brings me to my next point. Gennady Golovkin's got to be on point defensively. He cannot give up any free shots like he's done against some of these fighters. He needs to be on point and aware at all times. Defensively, he's got to be defensively responsible, really, like he was against a guy like David Lemieux. Now, that's an easy comparison to make, but Canelo Alvarez, of course, is way more skilled than David Lemieux. However, doesn't have the same level of power punching that Lemieux has. So, those are just some interesting points, guys, in my opinion, on this fight. It's going to be definitely interesting to see what happens, because Canelo Alvarez, with his hand speed, defense, things like that, if he can hurt Triple G at all in this fight and really get him to respect him, it's going to be an interesting fight to call. Now, in my opinion, guys, for my prediction on this fight, I'm actually going to go with Triple G, late stoppage, maybe in the 10th round. My reasoning for picking Triple G in this fight, I like that Triple G is the bigger man in this matchup, and that he's fought guys at 160 pounds who are power punchers. He just came off a very tough fight with Daniel Jacobs, where he actually went 12 rounds for a change. And that was a great experience for Gennady Golovkin. That's something that I think he needed to motivate him, really just to up his performance and train the best he can. I also like the reason that Gennady Golovkin is not going to be using near the energy that Canelo Alvarez in this fight. And I like that Golovkin's ring generalship will always put the constant pressure on Canelo Alvarez. And where Alvarez has trouble at times conditioning late in fights, with Golovkin always in his face constantly throughout this fight, it's really going to wear Canelo Alvarez down. And it's just a question mark of the chin. I haven't seen Canelo Alvarez get hit by a big puncher like Golovkin, who does a lot of very good things, especially if Golovkin's on point with that body punching. That is going to slow Canelo Alvarez down. I haven't seen him get hit by a fighter of the caliber of Golovkin, or somebody even with huge power punching skills at this weight class. So for those reasons, I'm going to have to pick Gennady Golovkin in this fight. I also think his jab is one of the better jabs that Canelo Alvarez has ever faced before. And I just think his size is going to be key in this fight. Against such a skilled fighter like Alvarez, it could come down to the size advantage and power advantage, physical attributes that Golovkin has in this fight. So I got Gennady Golovkin, late stoppage in the 10th round. Let me know what you guys think on this fight. This is going to be a great encounter. I'm definitely not sleeping on Canelo Alvarez in this fight, though. If he has his defense on point, if he gets Gennady Golovkin's respect, he's landing body blows early, it's going to be a hard night for Golovkin. But there's another key thing in this fight. A lot of people, this is the last point I want to make about this, another reason why I'm picking Triple G. A lot of people are saying, well, Daniel Jacobs moved around. He frustrated Golovkin, but, you know, Canelo's similar to him. You know, he's a big guy, he's muscular. They're not the same style at all. Daniel Jacobs has a footwork and the ability to switch his stances, move around all night. Canelo Alvarez is a flat-footed fighter. He does not move around like a guy like Danny Jacobs can, and that's not Alvarez's style, to move around all night, he will get extremely tired and run out of gas if he tries to emulate the game plan that Danny Jacobs did. He's not the same fighter. He's flat-footed in that regard, and that's going to be his downfall, in my opinion. Another reason against Triple G in this fight. You have to be like a guy like Jacobs to beat Triple G. You got to be a big man. You have to be able to move so Golovkin can't set his feet. Canelo Alvarez does not have the footwork caliber of Jacobs and the skill set to do those type of tactics in this matchup. So, in my opinion, guys, I got Triple G, round 10 stoppage for the reasons that I laid out in this video. Let me know what you guys think on this fight. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Please let me know what you thought. If you haven't done so, please subscribe and enjoy the fight, guys. It's going to be great. Thank you very much. Appreciate it, everyone.